Are you worried about today's dire financial situation?
Put simply, I would argue the Biden economic plan is working.
The storms on Wall Street continue today after regulators seized the assets of Silicon Valley Bank, marking the largest bank failure since the 2008 financial crisis.
Do you worry you'll have enough to pay your mortgage, pay your children's college tuition, enough to retire?
I believe our banking system remains strong.
Regional banks in focus once again today as the market digests the fallout of the First Republic failure.
You have questions, we have answers. It's the gold standard with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.
Thanks for joining us on the Gold Standard Radio Show with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn. We are so happy to have you today, and we're going to talk about just why our system is dying. But Ken, first, maybe you're wearing black for the funeral, but you look like the man in black himself. You look like Johnny Cash.
Yeah. Well, I like that line from the movie. Looks like you're going to a funeral. Well, maybe I am.
I know, maybe I am.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to talk to everybody again.
You're like a financial outlaw because you're telling people the truth. You're not just, well, I don't want to say blowing the smoke, but you know what I mean. You get so many people out there in the news media. You get the president saying that he's cut the debt when really he's doubled our deficit. You've got Janet Yellen saying the banking system is strong. You give us the real deal, Ken, and that's why I'm so excited to have you here because it's
just dealing with what is, Jen. We didn't create
reality.
Any of this. We're just dealing with what is, and this has taken decades to kind of come into play, so we just have to deal with it.
And, you know, it's September now. Now is the time to start taking things seriously. The summer is over. The fall is upon us, and we're going to talk about that in a few moments. But first, we have to figure out how we got into the situation we are in right now. Into the world of funny money and my favorite mouse click currency, as you called it, right?
Mouse click currency. Trillions. Trillions and trillions. It's raining.
It's raining mouse clicks is what it's raining. We wish it were raining real money, but unfortunately that's not the case. So it all started back in 1971 with President Nixon, who decided to try a little experiment. Take a listen.
I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
And the fiat money system is born, right, Mr. President?
Yes. All these other countries figured out that they can convert our worthless dollars into gold, and we're running out of gold, so what do we need to do? And I don't want to get shot in the head like Kennedy did. What we need to do is we need to end this gold standard, and we need to give our politicians as much permission to print as much money as possible. Let's just have a big printing party. Let's do it, boys.
He did. Yeah. I think there were some microphones buried in that printing party,
no,
but they were there.
And it's still going today. I mean, the party's still going, and the question is how is this going to end? And, and are we just watching this big show, and what could we do about it? And that's where we're at.
And what happens when a party goes too long, right?
What happens when the joyride ends, and you're actually hit a tree, right?
So
what do you do?
We thought it would be, and this is the point, we thought it would be a great time today as people are starting to refocus after summer vacation. We know people, and hopefully you had a really great and fun summer. But Labor Day sort of sparks the time when we start paying attention to political elections, when we start paying attention to the news cycle again, when we get back to business at school or at work. And so, Ken, we were talking about it might be a fun, not a fun time, but an important time to do a little recap because there's a lot going on right now financially.
Yeah, and I'm pleading that people understand how important what's going on really is. The situation that we're in. I mean, I don't want to sound dramatic, but it's dire. I mean, look at the title of the show today. Our system is dying.
Right.
And that takes into consideration the banking system. It's going to take into consideration the political environment, the overall morale of our country, the economy, the stock market. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming to a head here, and usually September and October is usually the worst months for the stock market. We'll see, but from where I'm looking, Jen, it's more of the same. Things are very, very risky. And I thought it would be a great idea to kind of go over some things, quickly for some folks.
And we're going to do that. We do want to give you the phone number, though, because if you are thinking about righting your financial ship, if you are thinking about protecting yourself against what could be up ahead, now is the time to call Midas Gold Group. They are fantastic. America First Patriots. They are veteran owned, and they are available to see you online, on the phone, face to face. If you're in Thousand Oaks, if you're in Phoenix, Arizona, you can call and go in to see them, or you can call from anywhere in the country. 855-322-GOLD. Write this number down. Make sure you keep it. We're going to read it out a few more times during the program. 855-322-4653. 855-322-GOLD. Always online as well. MidasGoldGroup.com. MidasGoldGroup.com. So let's talk about why people need to start considering gold, precious metals, and we'll start with that recap. We had something going on. It just wrapped that we've been talking about. You brought to my attention this BRICS confab, which are a group of countries coming together, and they're not operating in the dollar anymore. Explain a little about BRICS.
Well, as you know, that we've enjoyed the privilege of being on the world reserve currency, the U.S. dollar, for almost, longer than 50 years.
Sure.
And every currency has a cycle. So what's happening now is our brilliant leaders decided to sanction Russia, take them off the SWIFT code system, and they kind of established something that they weaponized our dollar. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these other countries, I think, are coming to the realization to say, hey, listen, we really don't need to involve the United States in everything that we do. We can do things on our own.
Right.
So when you talk about 6 countries like Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and now they're going to be joined by Egypt, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Argentina. By the beginning of 2024, you're talking about, some of the top gold producers in the world. You're talking about 80% of the oil production in the world. You're talking about a lot of population. You're talking about a large percentage of GDP. This alliance is serious. Mm-hmm. But what I take from it is that the United States and the privilege of using, our dollar as the world reserve currency is headed in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of these other countries, which is just a fact. They're going to start doing more business in their own local currencies. They're going to start doing more business between themselves. They don't want to buy United States debt as much as they did before. Some countries, not at all. So that leaves us kind of on our own with these other G7 nations.
Which weakens the dollar because they're not using it anymore as their standard currency. It starts to lose value. So really, item number 1 in our recap here about why you should consider gold and precious metals is that gold has held its value over time. It's part of our history on the world stage, not just in this country.
Yeah, gold is a store of value because over time it increases or at least holds your purchasing power. And on the other hand, our dollar is not money because it continues to lose value. It's not a store of value, so we could refer to that as currency. So we have our paper fiat currency, which they continue to print and leverage, and we're drowning in debt. Mm-hmm. We didn't even bring up the debt situation. I actually have a funny story for you. The United States came out recently with their balance sheet.
Yeah.
They said we have $155 trillion in liabilities. That counts to $33 trillion or so, plus a lot of unfunded stuff. But we have $5 trillion in assets. $1.4 trillion of those assets is the student debt that we now own.
Wow.
That's the kind of financial position that our country is in right now. And then you look at these other countries that are backing up their business by oil, tangible things like gold and silver, and we're backing up our business by liberals, Joe Biden, a lot of debt, and a financial situation that is dire.
Think about that. An illegal decision to relieve student debt, and now we are in worse financial shape than before. I heard this week, old Chairman Joe, that's what I like to call Joe Biden, said that he cut the deficit when actually he doubled the deficit. So
none of it makes sense.
That's one reason.
And the question is, Jen, is if none of this makes sense, would you feel comfortable leaving all of your money in a banking system or in a market that relied on this sort of thing?
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Let's talk about the banks because I think that's another good place to go here. So 855-322-GOLD, that's the number to call to get a hold of Midas Gold Group. Do it right now. Don't wait for the storm. Don't wait for the circumstances to get worse. Do it right now. 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653. Our banking system is also on very shaky ground.
It is.
And that's about the nicest thing I could say about it.
Yes, and expect some fireworks very soon. I would expect the regional banks, which are highly leveraged to commercial real estate, to be in serious trouble. A lot of the big banks were forced to buy treasuries at very low interest rates. They're now upside down with all of their bonds. We're talking about tens and hundreds of billions of dollars of losses for these banks. The interest rates now are higher now than where they were back in March when we saw banks fail. It's worse.
Yeah.
So what do you expect these banks to be in? Our money in the banking system is not secure. It's not safe. I don't care what they say. They're not supposed to be doing bailouts. They did one back in March, or they did a few. They said it wasn't going to cost the taxpayer. I would not be surprised for some of the next bank failures, and there will be some very soon, to be bail-ins, which means that some of our money will be taken. And I'll tell you what people are going to do when that happens, Jen. They are going to freak the heck out. And they are going to run, and they're going to try to get their money, and they're going to try to take it out. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be very, very difficult.
Put a run on the banking system. And as you have shared with us in past programs, that money isn't just sitting there. So if you want to try to go get your money and people start trying to pull all of their money out of the bank, imagine what that's going to do. People will panic. There will be fear. It will not be a good situation, a very serious situation. So we tell you to take a portion of your savings, a portion, it could be an IRA, it could be whatever, and put it in gold so that you can hold that privately at home so that you don't have to rely on a bank putting up a closed sign when you need to access your money.
How can you distance yourself from what the banking system is going through and the problems that it's having? How can you distance yourself from the leverage in the markets and the derivatives? And the easiest way to do that is to hedge your bets, diversify. Give us a call. We'll walk you through it. We'll show you how to do it. It's not difficult. In my opinion, it's a lot more risky to do nothing and to keep all of your assets in this fragile, leveraged system, which is drowning in debt. And our leaders have no answer except let's print more and let's spend more. It's not going to end well, Jen. It's just a matter of time.
Protect yourself and protect your family. 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653. We're going to continue our recap of what's going on financially right now. We are also going to take a look at silver and how silver can be an added benefit to you in your, at home, in your home safe or in your part of your investment strategy. 855-322-4653. 855-322-GOLD, MidasGoldGroup.com. Call them right now. Do not wait for the storm. There is so much more up ahead, and excited to be here with you today, Ken Russo. It is the Gold Standard Radio Show with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.
Dr. Gorka here. You're listening to The Gold Standard with your hosts, Ken Russo from veteran-owned Midas Gold Group and Jennifer Horn. Owning private money in the form of physical gold and silver is perhaps more important than ever to your long-term financial security. As U.S. banks fail, the Biden administration sends hundreds of billions abroad while depleting our strategic oil reserves. However, the biggest financial threat may be coming from within: central bank digital currency. The patents have been filed and the big banks have released plans for implementation. Midas Gold Group sees tyrannical implications, the end of cash, the end of financial privacy, big government able to see your every purchase. Could there be ties to social credit? Hear more commentary on the political and economic issues that affect your financial security right here on the Gold Standard. You can create your own Gold Standard with a call to Midas Gold Group, 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-4653, MidasGoldGroup.com.
Welcome back to the Gold Standard Radio Show. Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn, happy to be with you. We wish the forecast and the news was better, but Ken, our financial system is dying.
It's not your fault.
I know, it's not our fault. We didn't create the problem.
No.
But we have to live with the results of the problem, and that's why today, as people are back, the month of September is underway, kids are back in school, people are paying more attention to the news, to the financial situation, to politics in general. Ken, you thought it would be a great day to do a little recap about where we are. So we're going to finish that in just a few moments, but we always like to highlight a product
Yes.
on the program. And so for those of you who are watching the video stream at MidasGoldGroup.com, you can see these silver coins that you brought in.
And you want to know what, Jen?
Tell
Maybe
me.
you benefited from all of these shenanigans.
Maybe I did.
Maybe your house went up in value.
Maybe.
Maybe your 401k and your stock market investments went up.
Not bad. But
Protect some of it.
right. If you
Lock
made the
some
money,
of it in.
if you made the money, save the money.
Be a damn shame to see it just all disappear if you left it in the bank or in the markets and then you're relying on these other people. Don't comply.
Yeah.
Do something about the situation you're in. Maybe you inherited it
Well, and
or some of it, or maybe you were just a great trader or maybe a lucky investor. Who cares?
or you worked really hard and you just
That's
saved
right.
a lot of money. You want to protect your investment. And this is why when we say our system is dying, and that sounds like really bad news, the silver lining is there's something that you can do to protect yourself and to protect your family, your financial future, and it happens with gold and precious metals. So we talk a lot about gold on this program.
Yeah, and you may not want everybody to know what you have. You may not want anybody to monitor what you have. You know, it may be just your business. So
That's right.
So that's another reason why people need to consider this.
Let me tell you, I live in California. I don't need Gavin Newsom or Joe Biden looking into my finances. Don't want it.
Possibly President Gavin Newsom. Wow. Imagine if Hillary won. Anyway.
I can't.
Wow. But every time we talk about physical gold,
Yeah.
you could also infer physical silver.
Mm-hmm.
But silver is a little bit of a different kind of animal. It's a little squirrely.
It's a little squirrely.
It is. It's a little heavier to own, obviously, because it's a lower priced precious metal.
Right.
But it's an industrial precious metal. So that means a lot of the silver that's taken out of the ground is used. It goes into electric cars, it goes into solar panels, electronic devices,
Absolutely.
cell phones, that sort of thing.
This was my question. I think I told you before the show that I had a question about silver, and this was it. Because silver is being so used around the globe to fulfill these green climate agenda items, right? It's checking items off the list. Does that make silver a good purchase now since it's going to be even more in demand in the future?
I think silver's a great purchase. Remember, the price of silver and the price of gold have been manipulated for decades. You know, the price of silver went up to $50 back in the 80s, and now it's only half that price.
Wow.
So the question is when these banks lose their power to manipulate, and when they lose the ability to function, basically. I mean, I think the banks have already collapsed. They're just kind of slow walking the inevitable here, and we can talk about that a little bit more. But the price of silver, if it ever gets to trade just based on its supply and demand, you're talking about a commodity that will be probably hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per ounce. They take about 7 times the amount of silver out of the ground each year compared to gold. But right now, the ratio of gold to silver is 80. So as that ratio kind of narrows, you would expect silver to catch up to gold on a percentage basis. We expect gold to do very well. And we expect silver, if you're willing to take on the volatility and you have the storage space and you understand that's a little bit more aggressive rather than gold, it's a tremendous opportunity. So I would encourage people to consider it, and the Silver American Eagle is the easiest way to do it. The Silver American Eagle, which is what we have here today, is the only silver coin made by the United States of America, which is legal tender. And actually, there's close to 12 to 20 states right now that are actually passing laws and bills that are declaring gold and silver as legal tender.
Wow.
So I never thought I'd really see that. So
that's pretty incredible. So you can just go in and use that as part of a transaction.
You could use it for debts, and you could actually even use it for property taxes. I don't know if we're going to have to use it.
You know what I like to use for property taxes?
What's that?
I like to save up all my pennies.
Oh.
In big sparklets jugs.
Yeah, remember that.
And I like to send those pennies right to California, right to let them know that I really appreciate all the property taxes and how well they spend my money.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
sometimes it takes a truck to get them.
Property taxes are only going to get higher, so you better save more pennies.
There you go.
But I would just say that silver is a tremendous opportunity when we talk about how to protect ourselves from the banking situation. How could we hold some of our wealth? You know, how could we combat all of this deficit spending that the government is doing? We're spending so much more than we're taking in. How could we protect ourselves and distance ourselves from the inevitable stock market and bond market situation, I think if anybody's out there that feels that stocks are going to just go up to the moon forever, trees can grow tall, but they don't grow to the sky.
Yeah.
They're just in for a very rude awakening. I would say understand what we're talking about here. Wake up, and there's still time to get in front of this.
And you can keep some of your money in the stock market. I mean, the idea is not to just pull everything and to put it in one basket or one bucket. The idea is to diversify so that you're keeping yourself safe and putting a portion of your wealth into gold and precious metals. You do that with our friends at Midas Gold Group. If you want people who are not into the hard sell, who are going to talk to you through your current situation, that's what you're going to get when you call Midas Gold Group. It's the reason why I love working with Midas, because of the personal touch that you get. So what you need to do right now is write down the number 855-322-GOLD. Easy to remember, 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653, or go online, MidasGoldGroup.com, MidasGoldGroup.com. If you're in California, you can go see them in Thousand Oaks, or if you're in Arizona, you can go see them in Phoenix, but always call 855-322-4653. Let's talk about that stock market a little more as we recap some of what's going on right now. So the stock market, for most of it's been a little up and down.
Yeah, I mean, it's expensive. I mean, what I would look at is the leaders. Warren Buffett just cashed out $8 billion worth of his stock, and I think he's sitting on right now about $160 billion in cash. He's a value investor.
That's a big seat, by the way.
Well, I'm just saying he looks for opportunities, and he's not seeing any, okay? And then you have Michael Berry, who they based the movie The Big Short on, who made all that money in the subprime mortgage crisis, and he's just leveraged 93% of all his funds in his hedge funds on the short side of the stock market. So he's betting that the stock market's going to go down. And you're right, we're not giving financial advice. And you're right, you don't have to put all of your eggs in one basket. But I've been very surprised, Jen, even over the last few years, of the amount of people who don't want to leave any of their assets in the banking system, and they don't want to leave any money right now in the stock market. And they're telling me, hey, listen, Ken, we need a place to hide out for a while. Let's have it all come down, and let's at least be in financial position to survive this, and let's see where we're at then. Now, it's a conversation. It's different for everybody, but I'm just saying how risky and how leveraged things are right now. It's historical. So when you have a historical situation with historical risk, you're going to get a historical outcome.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about a lot of wealth destruction. I'm talking about a lot of assets that are going to disappear. I'm talking about a system that's dying and a lot of fake money that's still out there, and the fake market that's still being supported by more fake money and more debt. But the result is going to be very real. And in my opinion, to combat that very real result, you have to hold on to something that's very real. And the only thing that we can think of at this time to hold on to that's liquid, that's a store of value, that's a possible medium of exchange, is gold and silver. We'll show folks how to do it, but in our opinion, it's more important than ever to hedge your bets.
And it's private. You don't have Big Brother watching over you, because digital currency is just around the corner. So you've got to be
in front of this, Jen.
Yeah, you've got the safety issue, right? You want to bring part of your investment, and again, decide what's right for you when it comes to how much you want to put into gold and precious metals, but also consider that digital currency is right around the corner. And if you want something that is private, gold is really the only option. Gold and precious metals, the only option for you. 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD. MidasGoldGroup.com is the website. Storefront in Phoenix, Arizona, storefront in Thousand Oaks, California. You can go see the offices there face to face. 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD, or MidasGoldGroup.com.
Right. And it seems like they think that they could use our money, Jen, to solve their problems, right?
Isn't that the truth?
And it's our money.
We get to solve our problems.
They want it to run their system. I mean, it's unacceptable. You do not have to comply. So if this is some of the things that you're feeling, give us a call and we could give you a few options of what you may want to think about doing.
Boy, isn't that right? If you don't want to comply, you want to take personal responsibility and protect yourself and your family, call Midas Gold Group. Do it today. Do it this week. 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD. 855-322-4653, MidasGoldGroup.com. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Goes by too quick.
I know. We thank you for listening. It's a Gold Standard Radio Show with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.